Hello. So today is exactly 4 weeks from when I had surgery. Hard to believe how quickly the time does go by. And because of that, I thought that today would be a really great time to share a little bit about my surgeon, who my surgeon was, how I chose him, what my experience was. I've received so many questions about that, so I thought I would put it in a video, and hopefully you will find that useful and feel free to share it. So the biggest thing when looking for a surgeon to perform the procedure to remove your implants, the most important thing that you want to find is a surgeon who is going to perform a total BLOC capsulectomy. This is really, really important because there are many surgeons that either can't perform the surgery because they don't have the skill set to do it, or they just won't. The BLOC procedure takes a different skill and is very difficult in that the BLOC ensures that the capsule is not cut into or broken when removing the implant. So the capsule that forms around that implant, it's all removed intact. And why that's important is because if your implant has been leaking, if it's ruptured in any way, if there's other toxins that have been built up between the implant and that capsule, obviously if it's broken into or if it's cut open in order to remove the implant, you put yourself at risk as to having those toxins being released into your body and causing even more harm. So it's a difficult procedure. It's why I believe that your surgeon really does matter for this. So I thought I would share a little bit of how I found my surgeon. One of my lovely girlfriends who is from Canada and is actually now living in Costa Rica, she had done BLOC and was sharing with me some of her experience, and she introduced me to this incredible Facebook group that's called Breast Implant Illness and Healing by Nicole, and I'll include the link. You can totally join it, and it is over 160,000 women that a lot of them, majority of them, have had implants and then had them removed, and just sharing so much of their stories, what their symptoms were, how they found their surgeon, how their experience was. And I thought this was super helpful. You can literally go on there and put in any surgeon name, and you will see all kinds of feedback and stories on that surgeon, good or bad, from people's experience. And so this for me was really helpful. The other thing that came out of this, and again I'll share the link, is amongst these women, they have created surgeons from all over the world who will perform the BLOC procedure. And then there's a short list from that longer list of I'm going to call them the top surgeons in the world that specialize in the BLOC procedure. And so that's where I became really interested in that. I really wanted to see which surgeons were going to be available to me that I would be able to have a consultation from. So that's where I started my research. And when I went and looked at this list, I couldn't believe it. There's one surgeon in Canada from Quebec, there's a few in the United States, and then the last one, there's only 7 in the short list, was Dr. Urzola in Escazú in Costa Rica. And I had a moment and I started to cry, and just felt like this was an affirmation, a sign heading in the right direction, that of all surgeons in the world, there was one here in Costa Rica. And so that's where I started. So I would highly recommend that. And I ended up choosing Dr. Urzola. I did have a consultation with another doctor in Guadalajara in Mexico. He was, he's a top surgeon there. He's not on that short list, but if you go under Mexico, you will find him there. So I thought I would then share with you a little bit as to why I chose Dr. Urzola. The biggest reason, first and foremost, is that he is a surgeon that truly believes in breast implant illness. He believes in BII, and he's not performing this procedure just to make more money. There are many videos. If you go look him up, you'll see he's done so many interviews and videos where he is really advocating and is adding credibility behind these women's voices that there is something that is happening within the body that is not good, that is happening by implants. And for me, that was really important, which is also why he understands the importance of the BLOC procedure and making sure that the capsule remains intact for the removal. And also any of the scar tissue from the capsule, so like nothing is left in your body. You will hear there are many surgeons that will say you can leave the capsule in, your body will break it down. And I'm not going to go into details here, but if you just go and do your research, that is not the case. And many times women get sewn back up and this basically rots in their body, causing all kinds of mold and bacteria issues. It can cause further sickness. So it is so important that your capsule remains intact and absolutely everything is removed. And my surgeon believes in that so much and wants women to feel confident that my entire procedure is not only photographed, but it's filmed, and I receive a full copy of that afterwards, so that I know that when I awake from surgery and he says everything went well and everything was removed, that I will actually be able to watch that to see that that is in fact true. And I thought that that was really important because I have heard some pretty horrible stories. I know of 2 women where capsules were left in, like personal women, friends of mine. And so this was a huge part as well in my decision making. The next biggest reason why I chose my surgeon is he is the one that invented U-flap, which I'll go into more in a moment as to what that is. One of the main comments I've received over the last 4 weeks from women is, I would remove my implants, but I'm really worried about how my boobs are gonna look afterwards. I hear you, I understand that, and that, is a concern for a lot of women. And again, it's why your surgeon matters, because if you don't know how to perform the BLOC properly, or you don't have a solution to be able to do reconstructive surgery, then women are literally sent home. And some of the photos I have seen, it's heartbreaking. So I understand that. But I have good news for you. If you find a surgeon who will perform the BLOC, do a lift and a fat transfer, in my case I did a U-flap, which I will come back to, you basically can have reconstructive surgery done, have your implant removed, you do a lift, and then 6 months later you're able to have a fat transfer done. And so there's good news, and it's mind-boggling. I wish I knew about this from the beginning. I can speak for probably a lot of women who would agree with me to say that if they were told that unwanted fat from somewhere else on their body was able to be used to give reconstructive surgery to give them a breast size or shape or volume that they want, most women would take that. I would have gladly taken that. I have unwanted, unused fat that could have been done. And yet it's not really popular to talk about or being advertised. Wonder why? I don't really think Big Pharma would like that very much. But seriously, how many women, if they were told that there was an option for this, would actually rather use fat on their body to have reconstructive surgery than have a foreign object go into themselves? So it is possible, ladies. You just need to make sure that you have a surgeon. Again, go on that list and take a look, because it is possible. So why can't a fat transfer be done at the time of your surgery? number one. And then two, what's the difference between fat transfer and a U-flap, which is what I had. So the way that I've understood it, what surgeons have said to me is that because you are manipulating the tissue at the time of surgery, to do the fat transfer at the same time can cause infection. And also because the fat is being exposed to oxygen, because you're taking the fat from somewhere else, so it comes out of the body, exposed to oxygen, the cells die, some of the fat cells die, that to then re-inject it at the time of surgery, the fat tends to not hold very well. So you run the risk of a bit of having an infection, and the fat isn't gonna hold as good as it would in 6 months once you're healed during surgery. So U-flap is a completely different procedure and is another reason why I chose my surgeon, because it allowed me to come out of surgery with hopefully a little bit of volume and not needing to wait the 6 months. So this surgery was invented by my surgeon, and basically when the incision is made underneath the breast, he pulls out this part and basically takes my fat from here and flips it up into the breast to kind of give it a volume. And I'm still wearing my compression, so you can't really tell right now, but there's some there. There's a little bit there. Don't know how much really yet. Hard to tell. But the fat is never leaving my body. It's just literally being pushed up into the breast pocket, if you will. And so that's the biggest difference. And that's the procedure that I had, along with a bit of a lift. So with that means that my recovery was going to be a little more intense than just having the removal and doing the fat transfer later. So it is why really my recovery time is a solid 1 month of not being able to do pretty much anything. And I had drains. If you've been following my story, you may know that it took 13 days for those to come out, to be draining the fluid out of my pockets. So the recovery time is definitely a little more intense. I've also put a link so that if you want to see what the U-flap digital, not mine, but the digital procedure is, if that's of interest to you, so you can take a look at that, I will include that. My experience, I've been asked, how was my experience with my surgeon? What do I think? How did it go? And I have to say, from day one, from walking in the office and meeting my surgeon, it has been nothing but the feeling of comfortable. I never felt rushed in the consultation. He told me to come in with all of my questions. We would go over them. Some of them I asked 3 times, 3 different ways. He still was gracious to answer them. And he was also there for me emotionally, preparing me that, you know, as much as you can prepare, this is a really big change. So emotionally, he understood that, and the rest of his staff as well. I have access to them 24/7. Paolo at reception, to Cindy, who's my nurse, who's my surgeon's right hand. Any time of day that I need them, I can reach out. I do have access as well to my surgeon, but I do just message the nurse, because if she needs to ask him, she will. And it's been a really, really incredible process. Same thing with my aftercare. For any women who are interested to coming to Costa Rica, I'm happy to share with you directly where I went and why I went there. But your aftercare is so important for how you are going to recover and how strong you're going to recover. And so depending on your procedure, the time that you need to recover, you really just need to block that out and be prepared for your healing and for your recovery. You know, what time of year that you could take off that certain amount of time, who you have around you that can assist. You really do need a plan for that. I think aftercare is a whole other video, which this is already getting long, so I'm gonna save that for another time. So that is about my surgeon. Your surgeon matters, and now you know why I chose Dr. Urzola to be mine. And as always, if you have questions or comments, feel free to leave them below or send me a DM. I love hearing from you, and I will just keep answering questions as it comes in, as I really believe that this is a topic that is intentionally not spoken about, and I really believe that we need to be sharing these truths. It has the ability to change a lot of women's lives, and let's do it.